AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. We have a new open source music generator. This can create entire songs just from a text prompt and some lyrics. This AI agent learns how to use a computer by watching a human do a task, and then it can do similar tasks on its own. We have a new real-time video generator. You can add prompts on the fly and it would instantly apply them to the video. This AI agent can do smooth mouse movements on your interface. For example, it can solve these slider CAPTCHAs as well as draw stuff or drag clips around in your video editor. Meta releases an AI that can create a 3D render of a scene, but it's not just one model. This can create individual 3D models of each object. Plus, they are metric accurate. Flux2 Klein was released, which is a super fast image generator and editor just like Nano Banana. But did you know that we have another open source image editor which is also blazing fast? This one can generate 2K images in just like 4 seconds. This AI allows you to take an image and drag anything around and it would generate a video of those movements. We have a new tiny text-to-speech generator that can run in real time on just a CPU. We have another even tinier AI that can enhance the quality of an audio clip in real time and a lot more. So let's jump right in. First up, this AI is super useful. It's called ShowUI-Aloha, and this is an AI agent that learns how to do something by watching a human do a task, and then it can do similar tasks on its own. So how this works is it takes a recording of a human doing a task on a computer. So for example, this could be like booking a flight or editing a spreadsheet, and then all these actions in the recording would be parsed and merged into this code, which would be sent to the agent to learn how to do the task. The agent would then interpret this code and track all the things that were done in this workflow, including clicks, drags, typing, scrolling, etc., so that it would learn how to do a similar workflow by itself in the future. So for example, here, after teaching the agent how to book a flight, it can now autonomously search on Google and then book a flight for you. Or here, after you've shown it how to transpose a matrix in Excel, it's able to do this autonomously. Here, it has learned how to do batch background editing in PowerPoint. So here's the architecture behind it. It would first take a recording of a human doing a task, and then it would be sent through this recorder component to record all the events that happened. This would then be parsed into some code and then sent through the learner to actually learn what to do. Afterwards, it would create a teach trajectory, which would be like all the actions it should carry out sequentially, and this would be sent through the actor and the executor to actually do the task. And if you compare this with other leading AI agents out there, including UiTars and Claude for Sonnet, etc., you can see that this new one, which has been taught some human-guided workflows, performs a lot better. The awesome thing is they've released everything already. So if you click on this button, it takes you to their GitHub repo. And if you scroll down a bit, here it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Note that here you do need an API key from an LLM provider in order to actually use this. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, we have an incredibly tiny and lightweight AI that can help improve the quality of audio recordings in real time. So it's called NovaSR, and the crazy thing is this is only a tiny 50 kilobyte audio model that can basically upscale your audio at speeds of over 3,500 times real time. So it's like really real time. Here are some examples.
You made a promise. Maybe it's broken? Okay, let's go rescue Cloud. You made a promise. Maybe it's broken? Okay, let's go rescue Cloud.
So you can hear the quality is just a bit better and it has upsampled the original audio. Here are some other examples for your reference. So here's the clip before.
An undertaker's helper who collected the coffins of little...
And then here's the after.
An undertaker's helper who collected the coffins of little...
All right, here's another example. Here's the before.
Oh, my dear, you must...
And here's the after.
Oh, my dear, you must...
And finally, here's an example with music.
Which means it really doesn't matter what you write.
And here's the after.
Which means it really doesn't matter what you write.
So as you can hear, the audio just sounds a lot more crisp and clear. Here it says it can reach like beyond real-time speed on a single H100, but you don't even need an H100. You can just fit this on a consumer GPU and it would still be either real-time or take just a few seconds. And they say that this is on par with models that are 5,000 times larger, which is crazy. So for your comparison, here are some other competitors, and note that they are a bit slower plus a lot larger. Now the awesome thing is this is open source, so on this GitHub repo, it contains all the instructions on how you can download and run this locally on your computer. Plus at the top here, they also released a free Hugging Face space for you to try this out online. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, Tencent releases something super interesting. It's called VerseCrafter, and this can generate videos from a single image while allowing you to control the camera movements and how objects move in the video. So here's an example for your reference. Let's say you take this input image. Well, this AI can basically generate a 3D point cloud, which you can then manipulate in Blender. So for example, you can then drag the camera to move along this trajectory, plus you can move all these different objects to different places like this. And basically, here's what you get. So this gives you like total 3D control over how you want the video to look like, how the camera should move, and how the objects should move in a video. Here are some other camera trajectory examples. So as you can see on the left here, we are dragging the camera to move along this trajectory, and that's exactly how it renders the video. Now here's an example where we keep the camera still, but we move the people slightly, plus we move the vehicles a lot faster, as you can see on the left. And here's the resulting video on the right. It's able to render this very accurately. Here's another example where you can get these three people to walk forward like this. Or here's another example where we can get these two people to walk away from each other. And then here's an example of combining both how the camera should move plus how the objects should move in the video. And here's what you get. And then here's another example where we move both the camera and the people forward. So here's how it works. It would first take your input image, and then using Moji and SAM2, which I've gone over on my channel before. Moji is used to estimate the depth of an image, and then SAM2 is used to detect objects in an image. These two are basically combined, and it creates a 3D point cloud of the scene. Afterwards, you can manipulate this in Blender, for example, and determine how to move both the camera and the objects. And then these trajectories would then be sent through this component where it uses this geo adapter to basically allow for precise control over the camera and object movements. And then it uses this WAN transformer to generate the video. And afterwards, here is your final result. Now, if you compare this with other competitors on changing the camera perspective of a video, such as Yume and Uni3C, which I've gone over on my channel before, you can see that this new one, which is on the bottom right, is a lot more coherent and better in quality. Here's another example for your reference, and again, this new one just seems to be a lot better and more coherent, whereas for the other scenes, there's a lot of errors or janky stuff going on. Here it's comparing it to other competitors like ViewCrafter, Voyager, and Flash World, but again, this new one just performs a lot better and is a lot more consistent. The awesome thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and on this page, it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Plus, they've included a Blender add-on for you to directly import the 3D point cloud and edit objects in Blender. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, we have another super useful tool called UniSH. This can basically create 3D models of a scene with a person in it from just a video. So here's an example for your reference. It's a very tricky scene, but after plugging it through this AI, it's able to figure out a 3D model of the scene, plus where the camera should be, plus the shape of the human across this entire video, including their pose and position. This essentially takes a video and can render it in 3D. So here's an example where we have that 3D render. I can view the scene however I want. I can zoom in or out or drag my mouse around to view the scene at a different angle. As you can see, not only is this able to turn the human into a 3D model, but it's also able to generate a point cloud of the human as well. Here's another example where the camera is quite shaky, plus the human's movements are quite complicated, but it's able to predict everything quite well. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo And here, if you scroll down a bit, the awesome thing is they've already released all the code on how you can use this. So here are all the instructions on how to install this and use it offline on your computer. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further or checking out more demos, I'll link to this main project page in the description below. Next up, this AI is super useful. So if you've been playing around with some existing AI agents that can operate on your computer, such as computer use or UI tars, they can click on elements, they can type just fine, but you'll find that they have quite a hard time actually clicking and dragging the mouse to move things around. They can't really generate smooth mouse movements. Well, this new AI called ShowUI-pi is designed to do exactly that. It's able to control a computer's graphical interface by generating smooth mouse movements. So you can even get it to draw out text in Microsoft Paint like this. No other AI agent is able to do this very well. Or you can get it to move clips around in a video editor like this. Again, it's really hard or pretty much impossible for other existing AI agents to do this well. Or here's an example where you can drag a file onto a folder, or you can resize an element in PowerPoint like this. And one of the best use cases for this is to solve CAPTCHAs, specifically slider CAPTCHAs or CAPTCHAs which require you to drag and drop stuff or rotate stuff. This AI was trained to solve these. Now here, if you compare the performance of other computer use agents, including proprietary models like Gemini, you can see that this new ShowUI performs even better. It's especially good at PowerPoint tasks and also editing videos in Adobe Premiere, plus look at how good it is at solving these CAPTCHAs. The other AI agents don't even come close. And here it's also pretty good at handwriting, so you can even get it to sign documents or something. The awesome thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and on it, it says they have released the code. I don't see any instructions here, so it's missing some documentation on how this works. However, it seems like they have uploaded most of the files to get this to work. So it looks like they do intend to open source this. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main project page in the description below. Also this week we have a new depth estimator which is really good. So it's called AnyDepth, and this is able to estimate the depth of objects in an image or a video. So here are some examples for your reference. On the left is the original video, the second column is the ground truth, and the last column is this new AnyDepth model. And as you can see, this new one is just a bit higher resolution and higher fidelity compared to competitors. This one also runs a lot faster, so the latency is way lower than competitors. Note that this is basically a framework which you add on top of a depth model called depth anything to enhance the details even more. Here are some other examples for your reference. Instead of just video, you can also apply AnyDepth to estimate the depth of images like this. And as you can see, if you compare this with another tool called dbt-b, this AnyDepth one is a lot more accurate. So for example, here the competitor has a hard time detecting these hills and these people, but AnyDepth was able to predict this a lot clearer. Same with this part over here and this bird over here. And same with this object over here. It's a lot more accurate compared to this. And if you look at this table and you compare this to other competitors like Dino, which I've featured on my channel before, you can see that this new one, AnyDepth, on average got the best scores for these benchmarks. And if you compare this new method, SDT, with another competitor framework called DPT, you can see that this new one runs a lot faster, so the latency is a lot lower, plus it requires less memory to run, so it's a lot more efficient. Here are some additional charts showing how adding AnyDepth can help reduce the compute and inference time required. Really quickly, here's the architecture behind it. So AnyDepth uses quite a simple and efficient architecture called a simple depth transformer, which processes the image and generates a depth estimation. The awesome thing is, if you scroll up to the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, and here it contains all the instructions on how you can try this out. They've also prepared the dataset for you as well. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, we have a new image generator and editor built into just one model. It's called Flux2 Klein, and this is actually pretty good for certain use cases. Now for its image generation abilities, I would say it's a pretty close call between this and ZImage. So here ZImage is on the left and Flux2 Klein is on the right. Now I do prefer ZImage just for image generation. It is more realistic, but Flux does tend to listen to my prompt a bit more, plus it generates a few seconds faster. But the really awesome thing about Flux2 Klein is it's not only an image generator. This can edit images just like Nano Banana. In fact, I find that for some use cases, it's even better than the best open source image editor we have right now, Qwen Image Edit 2511. And again, Flux2 Klein is just way faster. The only downside is it's really bad at anatomy. Now, I already did a full installation tutorial right when it came out, so I'm not going to repeat too much here. But did you know that in addition to Flux2 Klein, we have yet another super fast open source image editor? This one is called Vibe, and here's the crazy thing. This can generate up to 2K resolution images in just 4 seconds on an NVIDIA H100. Now, this does require 24 gigabytes of VRAM, but because this is open source, I'm sure there's going to be more quantized versions of this in the future. And even if you don't have an NVIDIA H100, even on just a consumer grade GPU, this should be able to generate images in just a few seconds as well. So here are some editing examples for your reference. For example, you can add a scarf to this woman like this, or you can change this to nighttime and add some lights along these rails, or you can easily change the background of an image, or also turn this into a different artistic style. Here are some other examples, and you can see overall this is a pretty competent image editor, just like Nano Banana, and it's quite good at preserving the original details of the image. For example, notice the background stuff and the clock here are all consistent. Now, here's the architecture behind it. This isn't like a completely new model, but what they did is they combined NVIDIA's SUNO 1.5, which is a super tiny image model with 1.6 billion parameters, plus they used Qwen 3VL as the encoder. This is also quite small at 2 billion parameters, and after fine-tuning it a bit, it's able to edit up to 2K resolution images in just a few seconds. So this is super lightweight and efficient. And then on this Hugging Face page, it contains all the instructions on how you can download and run this locally on your computer. In addition, they've also added a free Hugging Face demo where you can try this out online. So it's pretty intuitive. Here is where you would upload an image. Let's try a quick example. I'm going to upload this image and then write make it nighttime. And then here are various settings you can choose from. So sample steps is like how many steps you want it to take to generate the image. The more steps you have, the higher the quality would be, but it'll take a bit longer, and vice versa. Guidance scale is how literally you want the AI to follow your prompt. And this image guidance scale is how closely you want the AI to follow your image. Let's press submit and see what we get. And you can see it's blazing fast. It generated this in like less than 10 seconds. And here's my result. Very nice. Anyways, all the links are up here. So if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. I've reviewed a ton of AI creation tools, but the best and easiest platform for content creation is definitely Lovart, the sponsor of this video. Lovart is the ultimate AI design agent. For example, I can drag and drop these product images onto here and get it to create some flash sale posters, and here's what I got. I could also select any poster and then upload an additional image of a model and get her to hold the handbags in another poster. The coolest thing about Lovart is they have this exclusive Edit Elements feature. I can click on this Edit Elements feature, and this allows me to segment the image into meaningful parts like the text and the objects and the background. Afterwards, I can easily change the text like this without affecting the rest of the poster. Or I can drag out the background and change it to black like this. They also have a very handy edit text feature, which uses AI to detect all the text in the image and allows me to micro-edit any specific text. For example, instead of foodie, let's write fresh, and then instead of chef's choice, let's write best choice, and then instead of simply delicious, let's write simply amazing. And here's what I got. Here's another cool example. I can paste in this image of a floor map and get it to generate realistic images of these rooms. This is an absolute game changer for interior design. Or here's another example. I can paste in a photo of anyone and extract their outfit on a white background. And then afterwards, I can plug in a new person And then let's get her to wear this outfit and walk down the catwalk of a fashion show. Lovart can also generate videos. So let's make a video of her walking down this runway. And here's what we get. Lovart is the ultimate AI platform for design. Try it for free via the link in the description below. Also this week, Meta dropped something pretty cool. It's called Shape R, and this can take a video or a sequence of photos of a scene and turn it into a very accurate 3D model. But it's not just one model. This is able to turn all the objects individually into 3D models. And these are metric accurate, so it's also able to estimate the correct size and position and shape of each object. You see, the problem with traditional 3D model generators is that they just generate one entire model, and so you can't really edit individual objects further, like place them around in different places, as you can see here. But this new method, Shape R, allows you to actually generate each object separately, so you can then move them around, interact with it, and edit them further. And the awesome thing is this can just use images or videos taken with a regular phone. You don't need any special equipment. So how this works is it uses a combination of techniques like SLAM, which stands for simultaneous localization and mapping, to create these 3D models. It also uses something called multimodal conditioning, which means it looks at the object from many different angles, and it uses that information to create a more accurate model. The awesome thing is they've released everything already. So if you click on Code and Model, this takes you to their GitHub repo, which contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. They also released this evaluation dataset and a detailed walkthrough of the data format. The link is up here, plus there are more demos on this page, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, after a few months of no news, we finally have a new open source music generator. This one is called HeartMula, and at least compared to the open source models, this is really good. It's really simple to use. You just enter a prompt describing the style or genre of the music, what you want the song to sound like, plus you can input lyrics over here, and here's the generation from HeartMula.
Spills across the scratched oak floor. I'm not checking on the time anymore. Just watching steam spiral up from the tea. A quiet moment meant only for me. It's a slow motion kind of afternoon, humming along to a coffee shop tune. Let the traffic spin outside the glass while I let the heavy hours pass. A stranger smiles as they turn a fresh page. We're all taking a break from the stage. The scent of roasted beans fills up the air.
Alright, so I'll pause it there, but as you can see, it can create a full song, and both the vocals and the background instrumentals are quite crisp and high quality. It's definitely a lot better than the other older open source music generators out there. It does follow the lyrics quite well, plus you can hear that the first verse is very consistent with the second verse. So it's able to, remember the melody and actually generate a consistent song. So that's just a warm pop example. Next, here's an energetic electronic example.
What it to the grid? I was playing a part, just a steady signal with a hollow pearl. The neon lights are flashing in my eyes, cutting through the static and the old disguise. Turn the voltage up, watch the meters redline. I am stepping out of the rigid design. The bass is kicking in, shaking off the rust, turning all the shadows into diamond dust. I'm finding my frequency loud and clear. Nothing left to hide, nothing left to fear. The rhythm is a mirror showing who I am, breaking through the walls of the hologram. Yeah, I'm
Alright, so I'm gonna pause it there. The song does sound very clean and nice. I think it's mostly the problem with the lyrics. So for example, the chorus is way too long, so here it kind of started messing up and then it didn't really know what to do with this line, and then it kind of merged the chorus into this line as well. But yeah, I think it's mostly a problem with the lyrics here. If we enter some more symmetrical and structured lyrics, then I think it would generate the song a lot better. Anyways, there are a ton of examples on this page, and they also compare this with other open source music generators out there, including Yue, Diff Rhythm, and A Step. But in the interest of time, I'm not going to go over everything. Basically, in a nutshell, this new HeartMula sounds the cleanest and the best compared to the other open source models. I wouldn't say it's at the level or quality of SUNO yet, but it's pretty close. By the way, in addition to English, this can also do other languages. So here's an acoustic guitar example with Chinese lyrics. And then in addition, here is a Japanese example.
メニューの写真をはるかに超えて運ばれてきた色々彩テーブル重さで悲鳴を上げる私の胃袋も震え出したカゴが外れる覚悟を決めて滴るソースを受け止めろカロリーなんて気にするな今夜はブレイクさスーパービッグハンバーガー肉と肉が積み重なるまでとろけるチーズのナイアガラ夢も希望も全部挟んで豪快にかぶりつけ
Again, the vocals and the instrumentals are just really good quality, especially if you compare this with the other open source music models out there. This is a huge improvement. And then it also can do Korean, so let's play a few seconds of this.
심장이 타는 냄새가 나 차가운 위를 긁어대는 소리 마찰열이 내 혈관을 태우고 있어 어두운 터널 따위 그냥 씹어삼켜 뒤를 돌아보는 건 약해 빠진 짓이야 속도계
Alright, I'll pause it there. I can't read Korean, so let me know in the comments if it sung this correctly, but it does sound like a decent K-pop song. And then finally, here's another example, this time with Spanish lyrics. Let's play the first few seconds of this.
Luces de neón parpadeando bajo un zumbido digital en el rincón. Soy la máquina de cromo y luz, mirando desde la esquina vi su cruz. El café se enfría en la mesa 2, mientras el silencio les dice adiós. Quise cambiar el destino con una canción, mezclar un ritmo alegre.
Alright, so that was just the first few seconds, and at least to me, the Spanish sounds pretty good. Now, here are some other benchmark scores for your reference. They compared this with the top music generators out there, including closed models like SUNO version 5 and Udio. In terms of lyric error rate, it's actually the most accurate, even beating SUNO 5. And then in terms of overall quality, it's also as good as SUNO. Same with style consistency, audio quality, musicality, structure coherence. It scores very close to SUNO version 5, which is like the industry leader. So it's super impressive for an open source model. Now, if you scroll up to the top of the page, the awesome thing is they've released everything already. So here's their GitHub repo. And if you click into it, here it contains all the instructions on how you can download and run this locally on your computer. Note that currently they've released the 3 billion parameter version, but there's also a better quality, also open source 7 billion parameter version coming soon. Now, if I click on the Hugging Face repo, notice that the total size of everything is only like 16 gigabytes. This should fit within 16 gigabytes or even a bit lower with some offloading. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also, let me know in the comments if you want me to do a full tutorial on this. Alright, next up, this AI is also very interesting. It's called RigMo, and this can basically take a sequence of 3D models like this, and it can figure out the skeleton, or basically the rig of the model, and figure out how this 3D model can move. So afterwards, this can turn them into models which you can fully animate. So this AI is basically designed to automate the rigging process. In other words, adding a skeleton inside a 3D model so it can move. The cool thing is this doesn't have to just work with human-like characters. This can also work with other animals like a bird or quadrupeds, or even this fan. RigMo can create these smooth and realistic animations even with limited input data, and this can output a 3D model which you can fully animate. And if you compare this with another AI rigging method called UniRig, you can see that this new one, RigMo, just performs a lot better. Especially if you look at this bear here, like this other competitor completely messes it up, whereas for this one, it's able to correctly predict how this bear should move over time. Now, currently, they've only released a technical paper on this, but it does say both the code and the data are coming soon, which is fantastic. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Alright, next up we have a new text-to-speech generator, and this time it's super tiny. You can even run this almost in real time on just a CPU. So here are some specs for your reference. This is a really small model with only 100 million parameters. This is not even a billion parameters. Plus it has ultra low latency and it only takes like 200 milliseconds to get the first chunk. And if you have a decent enough CPU, then it's even faster than real time. This is like 6 times real time on the CPU of a MacBook Air M4. Plus, it also offers the ability to do voice cloning, and it can handle infinitely long text inputs, so you can potentially get this to read like an entire audiobook if you want. Now, unfortunately, right now, this can only handle English, but because this is open source, I'm sure the community can fine-tune additional models that can handle other languages. Anyways, let's give this a try. So I can click on this demo link here for me to try it online. Now, for this online demo, I can't clone my own voice, but I can select from these voices. So let's just choose Alba first, and then let's paste in this transcript and see what we get.
Oh, wow. What an incredible idea. No, really. I'll ignore logic and common sense and just do whatever you think is best. Because obviously that's never gone wrong before.
And it's pretty good. You can see it kind of even inferred a sarcastic tone just from my transcript, even though I didn't explicitly say this anywhere. Next, let's try another example. I'm going to paste in this prompt, and then this time let's try a Zelma and press play.
Hello? Is someone there? I swear I just heard something. Footsteps? No, this is too funny. If you were trying to scare me, you've already done it. Please. Just come out and say something.
Alright, so it's not bad. It did mess up over here when it's trying to say the word isn't, but other than that, it's pretty good. Like, it did know to pause over here, and she also paused over here. Now, unlike other text-to-speech generators, you can't specify the tone like scared or laughing or anything like that. It's not as dynamic or expressive yet, but it's still pretty good. Now, I know in the GitHub it says it can only handle English, but here, let me just try an example with 4 different other languages and see if it can handle that. Let's try Fantine this time and then press play.
Playcarices extendes mais uno pierdo creer lo rapido que paso el tiempo hoy. Observa el brillo al jai lo hioble awi guy augie al.
Oh my god, that was absolutely awful. So as you can hear, it's not able to do any language except for English, at least for now. This still is a really powerful tool. Like I said, this can run real time on just a CPU. So if you're interested, here's their official GitHub repo, and here it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, we have a new real-time AI video generator. This is from PixVerse. It's called PixVerse R1. And first, let me give you some specs. So this is a real-time world model that can generate interactive scenes instantly just from your input. This is basically a continuous video, and you can add prompts to it to control how the video moves or control elements in the video with ultra low latency. So let's try this out. I'm going to create my own custom world, and then sure, let's allow my microphone. And then here, let's just write a woman walking in the city. And then for the style, I can choose point of view and then press start experience. And you can see even if I don't prompt it to do anything, it just keeps streaming continuously like this. So let's prompt for a red car to appear on the road. So I pressed send, and this does take a while for it to... Oh my god! Did she just fall to the ground and disappear? But anyways, we do have a red car. Everything is just becoming really inconsistent right now. And then this woman appears again out of nowhere. So I guess she's all fine. She didn't smash her face and have to be admitted to the hospital. And then let's prompt it to do something else. A massive explosion in the background. And let's see what happens. And again, it's not really real time, so I do have to wait a few seconds for this to play out, for it to actually add a massive explosion in the background. But eventually we do get some explosions. Oh my gosh, what is going on? I've created some pretty crazy nightmare fuel here. Here's where it just gets worse and worse. Everything is just super inconsistent. The dude transforms into some completely different person. It doesn't really have memory of the world, unlike other world models which I've shown you on this channel before. This has just become super weird, so let's stop the video here. But yeah, that's PixVerse R1. This is a real-time world model, and some of you might be laughing at the awful quality of this, but this is the worst it's gonna get. It's already very impressive that they were able to generate this continuous video, which you can prompt and change in real time. It's only gonna get better and more consistent from here. If you want to give this a try, this is PixVerse R1. I'll link to it in the description below. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.